Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga, bringing you up to speed with the big happenings in politics and in the polity. Let's begin with the headlines. Students of the Polytechnic Ibadan protest renaming the institution after a former governor of the state, Lunchtime, by the state government. After a very chaotic situation at the Wadata Plaza, People's Democratic Party holds its 100th National Executive Committee meeting, recognizes Sam Mayanwa as secretary, announces dates for next NEC ahead of the convention. And the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 governorship election in Lagos joins me to explore the state of the nation. So these are live pictures from the students of Polytechnic Ibadan who have staged a protest at your state government secretariat over the renaming of the institution after the former governor of the state, Lunchtime. The students, led by the president of the institution, Student Union Government, Olamide, can be seen carrying placards with different inscriptions asking the governor, Seyi Makinde, to rescind his decision and restore the Polytechnic to its original name. The executive assistant to the government on security, Sunday Dukoya, addressed the students, appealing to them to maintain calm. On June the 26th, Governor Seyi Makinde renamed the Polytechnic Ibadan after the former governor during the latest funeral service held at the Obafemi Awolowo Stadium, Liberty Road in Oyo State. I said that the acting national chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Ali Bukar Dalori, is assuring members of the party of his dedication to carry out his new role with transparency, inclusiveness, and unity of purpose. Addressing members of the National Working Committee of the party in Abuja shortly after assuming office, Mr. Dalori says he is grateful for the continued support and loyalty to the party as he's prepared to work with members as partners in a collective task of safeguarding the party's unity, discipline, and direction. The acting national chairman appealed to the members of NEC to keep their eyes on the bigger picture, delivering good governance to the Nigerian people, deepening democracy within the party structures, and preparing for the future with clarity and determination. He adds that as they prepare towards 2027, party faithful must begin now to strengthen the party's internal processes, reconnect with their grassroots, and re-energize their structures across all levels. And from PDP, let's talk. From APC, let's head to the PDP conversation, where the PDP this time has held its 100th National Executive Committee meeting under very tight security in Abuja. The meeting has been a subject of controversy, with different groups within the party holding varying views on its legitimacy. Earlier in the day, armed policemen took over the venue of the meeting. That was on Tuesday. That's on Monday, and denied members of the party's board of trustees entrance, forcing them to hold their meeting outside the National Secretariat.
This is Wadata Plaza, the National Secretariat of the People's Democratic Party, venue of the party's National Executive Committee meeting. The unusually heavy presence of armed police officers is already creating tension between the police and some members of the party staff. Some members of the Board of Trustees who came for the meeting are also not allowed to access the venue of their meeting.
Nigerians are watching. You came to our office surrounded by police because you want to have a meeting. Where you want to turn us to North Korea? Or turn this country to Russia? We will not allow it.
BOT members of the party later gather at the Yaradua Center for a meeting, while governors elected on the PDP platform hold a separate meeting at the Bauchi State Governor's Lodge.
What's your first reaction to the barricade by the police? It's not a barricade. It wasn't a barricade. It was a job of policing to make the place secure for accredited NEC members that are coming, so that we don't get miscreants and charlatans to take over the place.
Calm later returns to the venue and the NEC meeting of the PDP commences, with serving and some former governors as well as members of the BOT in attendance.
The chairman, BOT.
The acting national chairman of the PDP sets the tone, announcing the agenda.
And this NEC is going to deliberate on only one item, so that we don't run foul of the other regulators masculine of asking us to do this or that.
The chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees and chairman of the PDP Governors Forum also take turns to address the gathering.
We shall survive. The god of politics is in this party, and we hope to take over power in 2027.
The goal of leaving us, people leaving the party, are all cosmetic. We are all created to diminish us. We are all on the same page. No excuse for coalition.
The meeting then enters into a closed-door session. About 2 hours after, the meeting ends and the acting national chairman briefs journalists about their resolutions.
We were all together and we all agree that Senator Anyao will continue to act as national secretary, and also to bring the issue of convention, to bring it up in the next NEC, which is slated for 23rd of next month.
The PDP recent crisis centers around the national secretaryship of the party, a matter that members of the National Executive Committee say they have settled ahead of the next NEC meeting, which has been scheduled for July 23rd.
All right, so that's exactly what played out yesterday at the Wadata Plaza, but eventually the NEC held. But let's come back to Lagos, where I have my guest already here. He was the governorship candidate. He's the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in the last election in Lagos State. Valuable Rose Viver, welcome to the program.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Good to see you too.
There are so many things to unpack, so I'm spoiled for choice. But let's start local.
Okay.
And local means that in the next few days, local government elections will be held in Lagos State. I don't know how well your party is preparing, because there was a day we got the information of, I think she actually spoke, the chairperson of LASIAC, saying that they don't know who to relate with in Labour Party in the States, because there are too many groups or factions in that sense. So they wanted to be sure who they are related. They needed a clearance from INEC. How are you managing that? Because you're a leader of the party now.
So INEC has given the clearance that the INEC, that LASIAC chairman was talking about. We have candidates that have been filled, and they're campaigning. You know, over the weekend, campaigns were happening in Lagos Island, in Surulere, in parts of Ikorodu, in parts of Ekpe as well, all over Lagos. But, you know, there must also be a conversation that's grounded in the fact that there must be proper electoral reform, especially at the local government level. So to actually have a substantive conversation about local government elections. But I feel that as a party, we're putting up a showing. You know, we're allowing people to understand that there's a credible alternative, and people are campaigning based on ideas and manifestos. Are
you confident that there's going to be a level playing field? Because there was a protest last night for other political parties. I don't know whether your party was part of it, as to shifting, allegedly, LASEC shifting goalposts, such as number of polling units on one hand, something called revalidation on the other hand, without proper notification, all of that. Do you think there's a level playing field?
And that's why I said there must be electoral reform. The first election I did was for local government chairman, Ikeja. And I remember being at Burial Avenue, and the buses that came to carry the sensitive materials were flying APC flags, right? That in itself says the audacity and also the conflict of interest in the way the system is currently run. And the truth of the matter is this is not just unique to Lagos. So I cannot be a hypocrite and say this is just unique to Lagos. All across Nigeria, there must be an electoral reform that creates an independent local government electoral body that truly plays free and fair and creates a level playing field.
It's 2 years, let's call it 6 years for Sanwo-Olu, the man you wanted his job 2 years ago. Yes, you wanted his job, apparently. You came second. Good run for you. 300 and something thousand as against his own 700,000.
As they declared.
As declared by INEC. Okay, so those are the official records we have. 6 years down the line, so let's say 2 of his second term and 6 of his 8-year term. What will be your assessment of the gentleman called Sanwo-Olu?
I mean, it's not about the gentleman called Sanwo-Olu, it's about the policies and governance. I mean, I got here late today because there was work that was happening on the Lagos, the Third Mainland Bridge, Ojodu Road. And you look, I was patiently waiting to see what was actually the cause of this disruption, and just barely anything serious. This is work that could have been done at night, right? So we're talking about scenario planning as a government. And this then is reflective of your entire governance system. Look at what happened when Lagos was shut down when they were trying to repair the bridge. The lack of information between the federal and the state. You see what's happening with the demolition of buildings. You see what's happening with the drainage situation. There is so much that is lacking. For where Lagos is, for the amount of income that Lagos generates, the quality of our education, the quality of our drainage systems, the quality of our healthcare systems, it leaves a whole lot to be desired, right? And you just see that it's more of the same. You get token projects at costs that are enormous, that cannot be, that does not have any benchmark as to why we're spending that kind of money, especially at a time where things are so difficult for Nigerians. And you just see that it's just more of the same. It's a government that's just there to proliferate itself for its own interests, not the interests of the people, as far as I'm concerned.
So is there any, maybe particular line item in terms of projects that you've seen that you suspect the costs of?
Oh, they are significant.
So maybe you can highlight them for us, because Lagos government, if you speak with someone who governs the state, he will say it's even further driven, the revenue numbers even higher than it meted. And Lagos, of course, is very celebrated all over the country as how big the economy is. They're talking about the train system and some of the infrastructure and housing. They will tell you it's not Uhuru yet, but there are some significant strides being made by the Sanwo-Olu government. So if you have a counter-argument, what will be that counter-argument? And they are specific as to quote-unquote allegedly inflated cost of project that you've seen.
I'm spoiled for choice. I don't even know where to start. If you're talking about the size of Lagos State's economy, Lagos State economy has been huge since the 1700s. Let's actually understand. Lagos State has been a home for commerce for a very long time. And if you're saying that you're driving revenue up, what is it in dollar terms, right? Because our currency has lost a lot of value. So numbers, especially if you're getting some income based on dollar values and prices that have gone up, you're getting huge, high nominal numbers. But what is the real value of that money, right? That's something to consider when you talk about it. Then you look at the blue line, right? This blue line is supposed to be serving and making lives of Lagosians much better. Go and look at the percentage of people that actually can afford to use that blue line, that are using it. Look at the cost that Lagos State says they've spent on that 16 kilometers to 17 kilometers of rail that took almost 16 years.
Maybe you can give us those figures so Nigerians can relate.
So on paper, Lagos State is saying that they've spent close to $1 billion, right? On paper, the reports that we've gotten, right? The construction company, in their own statement that was filed by the company itself, said they were paid about $100 million. So now Lagos State explains that discrepancy as they had to do analysis, had to you had to get consultants to do analysis and all that. And this also ties into the BRT.
You're making a very strong allegation.
This allegation is not new.
So if it's $1 billion, let's use your number, your number, $1 billion, and the company is saying it's 100, that's 10%.
We've been talking about this since the 2019 elections, right? Even people like these statements are this is not new. It's just now that the blue rail has actually seemingly to be working. That okay, they've tried to cover up for all of those things, right? You look at I've posted on social media, I've put out statements about consultancy fees that were charged to create the BRT corridors, right? These are billions, and what I said was that when you look at the way things are done in other parts of the world, for instance, when I was in school, if the government wants to do something that is innovative, they come to universities, right? And then there's a thinking that happens there that then informs consultancy. So they save a lot of money in that regard. I'm talking about the ideas of saving money when your economy is really bad and people are suffering. You don't be spending billions on consultancy services. I've taken statements from the accounts of Lagos State and put out significant statements on this over the since last year into this year. We talked about spending on where you see government is spending in their accounts, spending on doing events for political parties. We've talked about the billions that they said they spent on fans. That was then, they now came to go against and say, no, they didn't spend that amount of money on fans. It was a typographical error. I mean, we've talked about all of this for a long time. The fact of the matter is that Lagos State is not working for a majority of people. A lot of people are having to live with their filth for weeks before it is cleared. A lot of people are still having to deal with flooding issues. A lot of people are also still having to deal with their buildings potentially being demolished, even if they've gone through planning processes, right? So there is a lack of scenario planning, a lack of transparent means by which you can engage with the government.
Okay, because the man we call the demolition man, the Commissioner for Environment,
yes,
he's talked about the issue that there is no more, they won't allow certain things to happen anymore, people cutting shortcuts and all of that. We're going to come to that in just a moment, but so that we get the full value of this conversation, I'm going to come to your ambition as well, but let's get to the national level. The policy direction of the government has brought us here. Whatever here means to anyone, because an APC person listening, there's a definition of here. The PDP guy, your party, the ordinary Nigerians, and non-Nigerians, there's a definition of here. Whatever here means is to the effect that things have gone higher. I think the economy is very challenging. Businesses have closed down, but the government is saying the fundamentals and the tickers of the fundamentals are in the right direction. The compounding effect is where the debate is on. And we are expected to see opposition profile alternative ideas just beyond the politicking. And you are part of the opposition. So first and foremost, how would you assess this government 2 years down the line? And what are the alternative ideas? What could have been done differently?
This government ultimately has been a failure. Nigerians are living in the hardest, when you think about the quality of life, the cost of living, this is the highest cost of living crisis that Nigerians are facing in the last 40 years. You look at security, over 10,000 people have died in the north, about 7,000 people have died in the south. On the International Terrorism Index, we've gone from number 8 to number 6. You look at the situation with the economy. You can talk about policies all you want, but if the people are experiencing hardship, simultaneously, you are using 20 billion to renovate the vice president's house. Residence. You're using money in ways that just speak of opulence and, you know, good living. You're spending money the way a country whose economy is buoyant will spend money. It's all about the people tightening their belts, but you see the government living extravagant. And then in ways where justice could step in, EFCC could regain some of this commonwealth for the people, you find that EFCC brings up a case, talks about this huge amount of money that was stolen. The person joins the APC and then is just hanging. So again, the people lose in that regard as well. So you look at the economy. We are the 10th poorest country in the world. Our GDP is less than $1,000 per item, per person. And you find a situation where even when you then look at all the markers that can say government should take a certain position, you see that everything is about the politician and the politics. You don't really see, even when we talk about policies that can potentially impact all of us, like for instance, the CNG policy could have been something that would have significantly reduced food inflation based on reducing transportation costs. But it's still just paperwork, right? In terms, we talk about giving solutions. That idea is a good idea on paper. If it was focused mainly on moving agricultural goods from the farming communities, from the middle belt down, improving the quality of roads in those places that are accessing farms directly, not this coastal road, right? Because now we have a situation on the coastal road where a number has been budgeted for it. There is no means or method or transparency by which that number was reached. We don't know as Nigerians whether we got a good deal. We don't know how much Julius Berger would have done it for, but this number has been given. But the question is, a main thing, and we have to think holistically, food inflation, transportation inflation is a major driver of inflation generally, especially at the time when Nigerians are having such a difficult time. If we use the CNG idea, which is a very good idea, and you see what Dangote has done with it in terms of like delivering petroleum products and everything, which can potentially reduce the cost of fuel. That should be focused on getting food from the farming communities into the urban centers. This would directly drive down food inflation. But you don't see this. So you hear some policy statements that sound good, but implementation-wise, you don't see it come through.
So one of the things that the government always puts out when some of these critical observations are made is they point to the direction of FARC. In fact, now the argument from the government then is that there's so much money at the subnational level that they don't borrow like before, or they don't even borrow at all for some. The issue of FX reserve, they've mentioned the issue of the debt service to revenue, which has improved significantly. We can see the number. Tax reforms is one of the things they put out, although it's not been implemented, but now it's been passed into law. NEL fund issue, although the FX is high, but it's stable. So on one hand, the neoliberal approach is what they've taken, and they are very blunt on it. So if you were to make a proposal on how to get out of some of the things they use neoliberal policy to get out of, what would that be? Because now we're sourcing for alternative ideas that can give a better compounding impact effect to citizens like any other regular Nigerian who is waiting for the renewed hope.
Okay. When people throw this neoliberal idea at people, at Nigerians, right? Because also have to take it and live with this reality. People in government are living their best lives. They're driving the newest cars. They're eating well. They're going on holidays. They're traveling, getting best healthcare in the world. It's Nigerians that have to live with this reality, and they just tell us neoliberal policy. These people met the exchange rate at less than between 550, 560 to 700 naira. And now we're at 1,600.
That was because it was subsidized. That's the argument.
The argument?
Yes. Yeah, it was actually subsidized, actually.
It was subsidized because they were fighting and they were trying to maintain the value. Okay. Now, the question is, now you are no longer subsidizing it. Those monies, how are they being spent to better the lives of Nigerians? You will hear now that there's a money that they are going to do conditional, they are going to do cash transfers.
Cash transfer, yes.
What is the accountability of that? By which method are people selected to get these things? Now, that money that you are giving them, how is it being channeled to actually improve their lives, not just giving a handout? How does it improve their lives? So it's not just about saying neoliberal policy, we don't have any option. The question is, how well thought out is your implementation? So
as we begin to wind down, would you have said, for now, given where we are, and a lot of people are in the deep, would you say that if, for instance, you were in charge, you were Bola Tinubu, you begin to consider some level of welfareism aggressive welfareism, and how would they do that? Because
Okay.
that will now, going back on your word.
So, first of all, you have to have a country that appears to work, not by propaganda. People believe in the judiciary. Ease of doing business is a reality. The means by which people can move around, transportation costs, people can set up employment, set up companies, not doing double taxation and things like that, which can be addressed by this new reform that they want to bring, has to be a reality. So I know that if I invest in this country, right, my bill is not just going to be demolished someday because of some policy. I can go to the courts and get justice. When you have
So
those
that's the rule of law.
Rule of law. When you have that set up, and the average Nigerian actually believes that you can get justice, businesses are more likely to come and invest in that system.
Okay.
So the government should have made sure for the longest time, because for the longest time, we'll hear an announcement by the presidency. The next day, the company that they've talked about to come out and denounce it. So all of these things chip at the credibility and perception of the people. So you find that a lot of people are not investing, a lot of people are holding on to money and looking for alternative means of investing, right? So that's one thing. The second thing, the government must actually show that they are leading from the front.
Okay.
Your people cannot be suffering and talking about how hunger is killing them, how they are eating once in 2 days, and you are living your best life. Cost of governance must come down, because that then shows seriousness to the business people and to the average Nigerian that we are in this together. You cannot be the 10th poorest country in the world and your president is living the way even better than the United States president. Go and look at the house that the vice president lives in America compared to this one that he spent over 20 billion renovating. Right? So there must be a reality check. Our government must cut their coat according to their size. Right? And this then starts to give the impetus to the average Nigerian that as a government we are in this together and we are ready for it.
We have just a minute more to go. My producer is out. So just quick question. You told me the last night you're going to run, but
Certainly.
under one platform are you running?
Okay, so, I said this as well, that the only way that we can move this country forward in terms of as an opposition is to come together. We cannot afford to divide our votes again. You add Alhaji Atiku Abubakar's votes to His Excellency Peter Obi's votes, they completely take out the current sitting president, right? So the conversation now, we're working to put a coalition together. You're going to hear announcements by tomorrow, next tomorrow, and everybody is coming together. And that's our main focus. At that point, we can then authoritatively say, this is the party that we are going to run on.
So, asterisk on Labour Party, that's what you just told me.
Asterisk on reality, because we need to win the next election.
All right, Gbadebo Rodsvival, governorship candidate in the 2023 governorship election in Lagos State. We'll continue to have this conversation about alternative ideas. And when the coalition sets in, we'll invite you yet again.
No problem.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And that's it on the program. Thanks for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye.